Good morning. Good morning. What's up, everybody? We're going to be getting going here in just a few minutes. Hope everybody's feeling good. Hope you're looking good. Hope you're shaking good. We got some good, there's too many goods in that sentence. We've got some wonderful data we're going to be looking at today. Some altcoins. Maybe they're setting up for something big coming. So big love to everybody here. Question is, what is a setup in this market? It always depends on who the person is, what their time horizon is. I might be talking about a setup for the bull run. I might be talking about a setup for the next 4 hours. We're gonna be talking about that as well today. So everybody get involved, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, get involved in the chat. Big shout out to everybody that's here on a daily basis, or even if you're here 2 or 3 times a week. If you're here regularly, I love you. If you're here the first time, welcome to the family. Gosh darn it, Anthony. Now I'm gonna be out of breath at the start of the damn stream. I forgot to do my push-ups. Everybody move their body in some way today. I'm out of breath from that. Holy moly. We got 28 people in the room, 18 likes. All you early comers, guys, hit that like button, juice it up, baby. Let YouTube know this is probably going to be a pretty darn good stream, and they start letting other people know, so we can share the word, the good word of crypto and data and signals and patterns and candles and some empowerment, some uplifting, some humor. That's what we're all about here at BitLab. I'm still out of breath from those 30 push-ups. I think it's time, everybody, it's roll call time. I want to see as many lab coats and test tubes and microscopes as I can. Let's get those flowing in here. I want to see everybody getting involved, showing some engagement. Read out everybody's names. We got Crimson Caravan Company, Dimple Paul, Bit, Voodoo, Kate Pulliam, Mr. Blake, Sawtooth Hiker, Rafiq Ghafoor. What else we got in here? Matthew Stoddard, Alexandra G. Special shout out to the main, almost like the mama of this channel, Alexandra G. Does so much work on the back end. Shout out, really, I really appreciate you, Alexandra. A mellow fellow. Hotter me harder. I'm George too. Justin Eubanks, what's up? We're getting it vibing in these mornings, aren't we? Anthony Trelane's the man who just made me pull my pec muscles. That didn't sound right. Boosted 2Js in the morning, boosted 2Js at night. What's up, my friend? B-Team Crypto. All right, we're gonna be getting going here in a second. I want to see everybody hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We should have 49 likes at least because we got 49 people in here before we start. So let's get this going here in just a moment. What's up, everybody? Good morning, good afternoon, good night, wherever you're tuned in from. Welcome to the BitLab Academy daily stream. I have my OBS window down here. I was so confused. I was like, where am I at? Just want to say, really, how much I appreciate each and every one of you for being here. I'm going to get in double audio there. There we go. How much I appreciate y'all being here on a daily basis, especially when it's not the suit. I mean, we're excited because we understand the data, right? We're excited because we know where this is going. But the fact that all of you are here and it's not the top of the market, you're here on a daily basis. Even if you're tuning in for the first time, welcome to the BitLab Academy community. We got a wonderful, wonderful thing going here. And it all comes down to each and every one of you that's here, how you engage in the chat. You know, we have people come in every once in a while, be a troll, say some bring negativity from somewhere else. This is BitLab. What we do here is education, engaging in the data, figuring out how to pull that data apart so we can look into the chart and project where we think price is going and set up different trading strategies and mechanisms and risk management, and also try to capture as much profit as possible while minimizing our risk. So if you're new here, we do want to say welcome to the family. And my name's Kellam. Welcome to the stream. If you haven't yet, please hit, caress, tickle, drop an elbow on that like button and hit that subscribe button. Join us. I cannot believe we still have over 50% of you that watch on a daily basis are not subscribed. Maybe you just don't even realize you're subscribed. So everybody take this moment right now and check to see if you are subscribed or not. Hit that subscribe button. Join us here. Big love to you. We're going to start integrating some fun stuff on the show. So I don't even know if he's ready, but Mr. Joel Cox, how you doing, my friend?
Yo.
This is Hodl Me Harder.
What's up, everybody? I'm so excited, dude. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to learn. I want to learn about everything crypto. And I love you, chat. I love you. You guys are awesome.
So you may know Joel from, he was running all the streams on Hit Network Gaming. And in addition to that, he does a lot of background content here at Hit Network, and he's phenomenal. And he's like, you know what, Kelly, I'm here on a daily basis, and I know little to nothing about crypto.
I know nothing.
Yeah. So we said, you know what, this would be a wonderful way to integrate him on to Crimson Caravan Company wasn't subscribed.
He's trolling, dude. There's no way. There's no way.
So we thought it'd be fun to have him integrated here. We are getting a little bit of doubles. Maybe turn up the echo. Oh, you know what? Is it the camera thing or is it double?
It could be.
Mic?
Hands on.
Yeah. What I was saying is he's going to be the chairman of the noobs. So he's going to bring us back to center sometimes and try to figure out what's going on. You hear all that echo?
I do.
We're working out, everybody. But while he's figuring that out, we're going to come back over to the main screen because we got a lot to talk about here. Will you mute your channel? Mute your mic. Check. All right, there we go. We're sorting it out. Hey, it's not like the death spiral we had. I don't know who was here for the stream where we had the echo death spiral that I didn't even know about for about 45 seconds until Alex Green called me. And then when I went back and listened to it, I was like, I apologize for any aneurysms I gave all you folks, but we got a lot to talk about today. And as I said, we're going to be integrating Joel throughout different streams. And of course, we're going to dive into the alpha data. We're going to dive into all the things that we talk about on a regular basis here, but we're also going to bring it back. And sometimes there's going to be questions beginners have, or there's going to be something that maybe I did not explain in a way that is accessible as I think it is, which that's just the nature of different people at different stages of the journey. And this channel is all about bridging that gap from beginner to pro. So nobody gets left behind. We want to bring as many people along with us as possible. That's what this is all about. So did you get it? Did you get it all sorted?
Probably not, but it's all right. We'll figure it out. This is day one, baby. Day one of the journey.
All good, all good. All right, so coming over to what we want to look at today. I got too many screens open. We were running this morning to get this all going, but let's make sure you're following us over here on BitLab Academy, at Academy BitLab. Hit the like button, hit the retweet, hit the like button, hit the follow button, I should say, hit the retweet and hit that little heart. And of course, make sure you're following me right here at Kelly Kellam, Kelloy, Kellam. Look for the blue check. And what we kind of want to dive in today, much like, let's actually pull it up. Much like on YouTube, before you clicked in, you saw that we have, you saw this tweet, the thumbnail that we had, crypto trading setups, Bitcoin, XRP, ADA, and Sol. What is this about? Why did I highlight these? Is it because I really like them? I'll tell you right now on this channel, if you guys haven't noticed, there's a lot of coins that I've looked at regularly for you all that I have no interest in, but I also find interest in things based on different fundamental setups, different things that are changing in the technicals, different data sets that are suggesting, hey, you're ignoring this. And this data set says, hey, maybe you want to at least look into it for a little bit. Just peek in, just lean in, see if there's other things that are supportive of an idea of price action that is in line with what your goals are. And so in this case, we're going to be looking a little bit heavier today at XRP, ADA, Sol, Ripple, Cardano, Solana. And we want to talk about some things that we're seeing in the charts. And I actually don't think I pulled it up, but yeah, I think it's right here. And this is essentially what we're looking at. Altcoins shine amid crypto outflows as institutional players enter. Now, stick with me here because we're going to look at some data here and a little bit some articles here at the beginning of the show, but we're going to be doing a lot of TA in this episode as well. So stick around because you don't just want to see price targets. You need to understand why those price targets are valid or invalid. That's what this is about. Building our portfolio of knowledge and data that we're pulling from so that we can make smart and informed decisions. So scrolling down here, in a surprising turn of events, cryptocurrency investment products focused on three major altcoins, Solana, XRP, and Cardano. They defied the bearish trend that engulfs the market last week. So essentially what we're seeing is we're seeing large outflows from the digital investment products, primarily impacting Bitcoin and to some extent other coins as well, but primarily affecting Bitcoin. Why would this be? Because we know over the last, really most of this year, but especially around the end of spring going into summer, especially into June and July, when we had all the news that came out with all the spot ET, especially with BlackRock coming in to the fold, foraying officially into the crypto ecosystem, putting in that spot Bitcoin ETF, that signaled to every small family office and small and large family offices alike in terms of financial product companies that Bitcoin is something worth looking at. Of course, there's a lot of people, a lot of institutions out there that may have already had their eye on it. But if you really looked at it in terms of a data set, in terms of a percentage share, how many people across the world, or you can even look at just the US, how many different institutions or people alike, what's the percentage of people that really showed interest and then took it beyond interest and actually were engaging in the digital asset ecosystem? Bitcoin, Ethereum, crypto broadly. Now, as we've talked about a lot before, institutions are going to be primarily focused. Disproportionately more focus has been on Bitcoin. Now, I think this is going to persist for quite a long time. It's going to persist for the time being at minimum. But that doesn't mean there's not going to be other assets within the digital ecosystem that start seeing a little bit of light shown on them, especially when there's different changes and oscillations and news, different things that's happening with the narrative, different things that are happening with fundamental developments within particular ecosystems. And I think that's primarily what we're seeing here. So essentially what this is saying is, and I can kind of TLDR it for you, we're essentially seeing that there's been a consistent outflows coming out of Bitcoin, but we're seeing among all these different assets that we're also seeing basically capital inflow to Cardano, XRP, and Solana. So if there's capital inflow to these while everything is going down, that does not mean that price is only going to go up on those assets. But what it does mean is that there's something different going on in those assets. So from that, then we can go and collect other data to then help build a case of whether or not we should be interested in buying. If there's a timeline that we should be looking at in terms of a time horizon that, okay, this is setting up prices, we can set our lower targets, but also have an idea that we can be more confident about potentially allocating capital to these particular assets going into this next bull run. I don't think this is a setup for, hey, we're about to get a big pump. So you need to notice that. Setups that I'm really looking at right now, I'm looking at setups to have my portfolio allocated so that my next task is primarily going to be is identifying at what points within the market cycle that I'm going to start hedging my risk, start taking some of my capital out of the market because it's reaching certain targets, within that next bull cycle above previous all-time highs, and then scaling out, et cetera, from there. Because as we know, on Bitcoin, on Cardano, on Avalanche, on Polkadot, on XRP, on all these coins that we've talked about on a daily basis, all these coins that you all ask about on a daily basis, we're only interested in them because we think that they can make money. The only reason they can make money is because they're volatile. Being volatile does not mean up only. Being volatile means price can move explosively at the flip of a switch. And sometimes that switch is somebody posting an article. Sometimes it's Elon saying he's going to integrate something into the X ecosystem and payments. Sometimes that switch is Gary Gensler getting on and opening his mouth in any regard because clearly he does not understand the space, although he taught courses on blockchain at MIT. I still don't get this. Obviously, there's somebody in his pocket, but we'll have to figure that out. Joel. So you're
talking about Elon Musk?
Well, I'm just talking.
You gonna get the chip in your head?
I'll get the chip.
I ain't doing it, bro. That's the mark of the beast.
I mean, I've had what, 80 surgeries?
Are you serious?
I've had 80 surgeries from my 2 accidents. Yeah, I broke my pelvis, my arms, my legs, my ribs. And so for me, I'm like, I'll get the chip so I can redirect some of these pain signals. You know what I mean? And yeah. I want that kind of holographic eye thing to where you can kind of see what's going on. But in terms of crypto, though, being a newcomer,
yeah,
are you just ridiculously? Is it a ridiculous coincidence that right now is when you're really looking to be excited and start diving into crypto, or is it somewhat that you're in the space where we're all talking about we're entering a great time to buy, or is it just serendipity?
So I heard about crypto back at my old job, like in 2018, 17, something like that. Bitcoin was like blowing up. It was probably like what, $2,000 at the time or something like that. And I didn't want to buy into it. I did work with TJ, and he was always talking about crypto, and I was just like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't believe in this stuff. Whatever. It's weird. It's all scam. And I moved here, and I had crypto, but I didn't know it. I lived in the basement. I played video games. But right now, it's like, hey, it's time to learn. Everything's kind of down. You're right. Everything's kind of down. And dude, look at this chat, bro. I fell in love with this chat. This one I'm falling in love with now, but even H&G, everyone was crypto related. And it's just like, dude, the world is turning into like, everyone talks about crypto. It's not just like, Elon Musk is talking about crypto. Mark Cuban is talking about crypto. It is taking over the internet. It's taking over the world. So it's the future for sure. 100%.
Yeah, I agree with that. Before we jump into the stories, to some of the coins I just mentioned, do you have anything just from your limited? I mean, to be fair, your idea of a limited sort of knowledge or no knowledge of crypto is a little compared to us. You may compared to us, you may feel that way, but compared to the broader world, you probably have a huge amount more knowledge on this just from being in the space and filming content on it. So just with the exposure that you have had, is there anything like, okay, Bitcoin? Are you interested in Bitcoin? Are you like, I'm an altcoin guy?
I'm an altcoin guy.
Yeah. And do you have like 2 or 3 that pop in your head?
We got XRP, baby, Cardano. I just bought HBAR. I bought Matic. Not much.
So listen to this guy. I know nothing about crypto. He's over here buying HBAR and Matic. And
I don't know the back end. I don't know trading. I would love to learn trading with dummies teaching me. You're teaching me. Frankie's teaching me. So I'm excited, man.
Yeah, we do. Well, I'm excited about it too. Let's continue on here. So looking at, we all know what I was getting at is we all, and if you do, I just hit the minimize button on accident. We all know, okay, there we go. Sorry about that. We all know, and if you don't know, now you know, that the halving's coming up. And so right now is it really is one of the most critical times in the market, especially how many of you all have been bought and you had to, maybe you're not underwater any longer, but you bought somewhere, if you bought anywhere above if you bought anywhere above $18,000, if you started buying, really, let's say 32, because we're still under 32. If you bought anywhere and you started entering this market, even if you didn't buy Bitcoin and you only bought altcoins, if you started entering somewhere in this part of the cycle, wherever at, and you've been holding through all that, let us know in chat right now. Let us know I want to see how many people have endured, because really you are true believers and maybe you're just like, okay, I can't lose that money. Whatever it is, you're still here. If you've been holding since back here and we've come all the way down here, we've pushed up and you didn't just take profit and, because you're scared. You're actually looking at this, understanding that we have a halving coming up and we're in this part of the market that there's I don't want to say there's no telling what can happen, but it really could go up or go down at this point right now based on so many different metrics, so many different influences within the space and outside of the space with all this institutional news that's coming out on a daily basis with Japan's, I forget the name of the bank, Nomura Bank or something like that, Nakamura, just integrating, Bitcoin venture funds. We're having this on every continent across the world, institutions and retail alike. Retail is going to end up in this stage. You all are going to beat retail, but most of the people coming in this next bull market hype are going to be getting in after institutions, and all of you get to get that badge of honor. You were here before the smart money was. Yes, there's some smart money here now, but we are entering this stage right here where you can literally have exponential affects onto what your potential profits can be. Because if you're using poor strategy, in this case, a poor strategy would be like a poor man's strategy, trading on hope and selling on fear, buying on hope, selling on fear. We don't do that because there's not really a clear path for what's going to happen, because you have to remember, it's not that the technical analysis doesn't show us. It's the fact that we are also in an economic scenario, environment that also is putting different pressures on the market. So no cycle is going to be the same. Things will rhyme, but it's not going to be, it's going to be similar, but it's going to be different. However, we also have all this economic pressure and inflation, and okay, now we're getting a pause, but are we going to get one more rate hike? Are we going to actually start quantitative tightening anytime soon? I can't see us getting quantitative tightening, money being injected back into quantitative easing. Not quantitative tightening. I can't see money being injected back into the economy probably until sometime, I would say post-March. In reality, maybe even middle to later in the year in 2024. That's the year I was looking for. So because of all this, and we do have the halving coming up, we very well could come down here and double bottom. We could come all the way down here to $16,000. Would that bother you if the price dropped down to $16,000? Of course, it would be frustrating because it means, I got to be patient even more. Well, that's if we're being very myopic and very focused on needing results now. Warren Buffett never wants results now. And now, of course, we're investing in something very different than Warren Buffett ever invested in. But in his day and age, a lot of the things he invested in were new things, new paradigms, new, investing in growing niches. Well, there's no reason for him to transition out of the entire system that he's built his entire world on. In fact, if he did, he'd probably end up cause a catastrophic loss in the value of some of those assets. So we can't expect Warren Buffett to jump over. But what we can do is we can look at the practices that he had. Now, of course, I don't want to wait 30 years to have some profits. But let's be honest. We're in Bitcoin. We're in digital assets. We're in Ethereum, Cardano, XRP. Timelines have compressed in the last 100 years as technology has evolved and access and the ease of access and the speed of which things transmit between each other. So therefore, we can also know that if we pay attention to what's happening in these market cycles and don't need every move to happen, we can capitalize on being set up to take advantage of this whole part of the move. This is what we're looking for here, because this is the last halving. We're somewhere about right here. You see this? This is the current spot. This is where the projected where the next halving will be. So as you can see, we are in that zone to prepare for wonderful, wonderful profits. So let's get back over to this article. Let's just look at it a little bit deeper. Bitcoin focused investment products bore the brunt of the outflows. Other digital assets face similar challenges. Ethereum experienced outflow of 4.8 million as opposed to 45 million like Bitcoin. Now, does that mean that Bitcoin was having something negative going on? No, we have to understand the correlation and the data set. Bitcoin had an exponential amount of more inflow into it from institutions. And so therefore, as money comes out, there's a larger amount coming out of it, but it doesn't mean that something worse is going on with Bitcoin. So you need to know that. I have to sneeze. Got it. Okay. While multi-asset products suffered 200,000 in outflows, interestingly, products centered on Binance's BNB saw $300,000 in outflows. Okay, now here we go. Bucking the trend were investment products devoted to Solana, which attracted $700,000 in inflow. Now, this feels minuscule, right? 700,000 as opposed to millions, right? Like we saw in Bitcoin and Ethereum. But it's also an exponentially smaller market cap. So this has a similar impact in terms of the underlying asset, but also it lets you know where people are placing their interest. Okay, and we see in inflows, the XRP products, which saw $100,000 in inflows. So this is almost minuscule, but we know what's going on with XRP. We know XRP, whether you like it or not, is being integrated into, it's almost like a bridge, and it's not bridge like you're thinking about in crypto ecosystem. It's almost like a bridge between the old world and the new world, because they're using blockchain technology to sort of make more efficient the international banking system. So now that doesn't interest me whatsoever. However, what does interest me is the fact that as they develop out those rails, those payment rails, and those partnerships and the integrations into legacy finance, that means there's also going to be an immediate deliverable, the immediate use case action in place to utilize the technology and drive transactions, drive fees, drive all the things that are necessary to really look at when you're looking for fundamentals in an asset. So while I think Bitcoin is far superior to XRP, I can't ignore the fact that XRP has an incredible use case, especially when I'm looking at something that I'm trying to turn profit on. So you have to understand when you're investing in any assets, you have to ask yourself, is my investment thesis on this asset hinged on the fact that I only invest in something that is ultimately exactly what I believe in, which that could be the majority of your portfolio. You could also be utilizing in other assets to turn profits. And when the market on your main asset is just choppy or sideways or consolidating or in a bear market, you can still trade other assets with the intention of profit. So understand what your goal is, what your goals are between different assets and why, and how you can allocate to those. That can also be reflective of what your sense of the market is. Because some people are all going to be value investors. Some people are all going to be investing only to turn profit. Other people are going to be investing only in something that they ultimately believe in. And none of those is wrong. It all depends on what your goals are. Look at all these lab coats in here. And if you guys have pressing questions and also any super chats or anything, if you see those, Joel's going to shout out. He's going to throw a football at my face so I can tune in and focus. Now, jumping back in here, investment products targeting Cardano also emerged as winner, extracting $400,000 in inflows, or attracting $400K in inflows and amassing 24 million in assets under management, aka TVL. Meanwhile, XRP boasted 57 million. So interesting. So if we kind of come over here, we're going to look at some stuff here. DeFi Llama. DeFi Llama. So we're going to come to chains. All right. So coming first to where is Cardano is going to be further down because it is. Where you at, boo boo?
Just so you know, I am going to buy a football to throw at you.
Wait, what was that? You're gonna buy a football to throw at me?
I am. That's the thing. It'll be soft. Don't worry.
Joel's got softballs. I don't know where. There we go. So DeFi Llama, come over here, pull up Cardano. We could see. So if we're seeing some investment coming to this, we also know that Cardano has a very large community. We could look at some of the things on here. The TVL is coming up here to where are we at right here? The TVL 148, that's September 20. Okay, so $148 million in TVL. And I want you guys to remember back in, I don't know if we can go back further. I don't think we can look back further. It wasn't long ago that Cardano was only a speculative asset, and it still is, of course. But I mean, it was only with the hope of the development actually coming through, and people coming within the chain and developing dApps and different DeFi protocols, gaming, NFT, all the things that Ethereum already obviously had built out that ecosystem. And it's nice to see that we're starting to get, that, of course, this is rolling over just a little bit, but the entire market is. As interest comes in, it will be interesting to see what happens with Cardano's data sets. So coming over here, looking at volume, we can see, look at this large spike in volume right here. Huge spike in volume. We can look at fees, pull it up. So this is interesting. So we're getting large amount of fees as congestion comes into the network. People pay more to have basically faster processing times, depending on what different utility you're using to send or transact, or different DeFi protocols and etc. Or just having the base lowest fee and you have the slowest processing time. But we're seeing that this is really spiked here, falling off a cliff here. We'd like to see volume and fees really come back in, and we're gonna be looking at this when we get into the TA. Now we're coming over here to price. So where is that at? So man, so we can see the price here in pink, and as price is falling, the TVL is still going up. People, this is when there's a huge push. I don't want to say push. A lot of people were moving into this staking because this is proof of all the different the staking protocols, staking nodes on Cardano. So a lot of people moving into this, but then very quickly, as this did not reach a new all-time high, lower high, people started moving some of their assets out as well, and more importantly, the value of Cardano dropped, so too did the dollar value of the TVL. But what's interesting here is you see this price, you see the price line right here. This is something I want to see. You want to see a divergence in the fundamentals as opposed to price. You see the price action, this pink line coming down like this, it's actually rolling over while the TVL has been going up through this period, showing a divergence, and somewhat we can call it long-term behavior because you have assets locked in chain, staked or within different DeFi protocols and etc. But we're seeing the fundamental strength of the base structure getting stronger, which if you're looking, for instance, if you're walking down a street and you see an open lot and you see a foundation that is 40 by 40 or maybe 30 by 20, you think, oh, that's most likely going to be a house that's built there. If you're walking down a city block and you see, something like the size of a building, for instance, right, where it's just, I don't even know what the dimensions would be, massive, 600 by 400 foundation, you could look at that foundation and deduce, okay, there's something being built here. There's a strong foundation, not even metaphorically in this case, that I can deduce that there's very likely going to be a lot of growth in terms of vertically on this. There's going to be something big built here. And so, of course, assets do work slightly differently, but the point being here is we're seeing that we're getting a fundamental foundation built and belief in that asset because there's people holding long term. We're having a huge amount of addresses. We're having building on the ecosystem, and we're seeing strength in price weakness, suggesting this is not a fair value for Cardano at the moment. That's what we want to see. Crypto Crank says ADA will be left in the dust if projects can't trust the platform's activity. This is why Sol took off ETH. This is why Sol took off. ETH took off. When ETH, can't see that because it's so small over here. When ETH or Sol have problems, it's great. It means there is activity. Well, I mean, that's kind of a matter of opinion, I believe. I think. Look at the growth. Look at the explosion in price Cardano had in the last bull run. Everybody goes, it's not moving. It's a stable coin. And then it ran at its own pace. And then when it did explode, it was one of the biggest movers, right? So it's a little bit delayed, in terms of a timeline behind Ethereum. However, the speed in which they developed a lot of the things that they've done actually happened quicker than Ethereum. And that's to be expected because, Ethereum had already paved the way. But the point being here is one of the other fundamental developments on Cardano is Cardano also is building out a huge amount of infrastructure in Africa. And Africa is one of the fastest growing economy territories in the world. And of course, that's a number of different nation states, as well as just regions that a good portion of it doesn't have digital infrastructure and just general infrastructure that was built. So rather than having to replace infrastructure like we do in the Western world, where we've had stuff for 40, 60, 80, 100 years, in Africa, they can start their infrastructure integrating these things, right? So there's a lot of different things we can look at here. So let's go ahead and I just wanted to show you this. Actually, the time flies by so fast now that we're doing an hour. I want to jump in and look. I want to talk about one other thing here, and that's right here. I just want to mention this. They'll be talking about it later. On all the other crypto shows as well. But just mention this. House committee backs bill limiting Fed's U.S. CBDC plans, signals Bitcoin support. So let's kind of just dive into this for a second. The U.S. My back is itching. The U.S. is a buzz as a House Financial Services Committee chaired by, I don't care who it's chaired by, endorses a bill designed to stall the progression of a U.S. central bank digital currency. This move has not only stirred Capitol Hill, but has also intensified discussions on the nation's role in financial innovation and its global competitive stance. This is going to be one of the number one things, innovation and global competitive. Those two words are going to be probably the biggest things that actually kick the U.S. into gear when they truly start seeing the developments in China, in Hong Kong, and Singapore, in Malaysia, and essentially everywhere else in the world other than the U.S. And at the end of the day, let's be honest, they're not concerned with how can we do the best good for our people. They're thinking, and maybe they're thinking of it in a different context than we're aware of. We have to all be aware of that as well. But staying competitive on the stage, knocking shit over here. Staying competitive on the stage. What's happening, man?
What did you break?
I don't know. Some just fell.
I do have one thing. I think you need an ad blocker. I almost thought that this was scandalous stuff underneath.
What?
Do you see what's on? It's on your screen. Anyway, we need to get you an ad blocker.
Oh yeah, I don't know what that is, but you talking about down here?
Yeah.
Just ads by Google. Yeah, I don't know, but at the end of the day, one of the things I wanted to point out here is, okay, there's been a lot of fighting and misrepresentation and ignorance within our government regarding digital assets. And I would argue very, very heavily that the majority of it comes from just actual ignorance because it takes a while to let go of the legacy mindset of how the dollar works, aka doesn't work, and the traditional finance and thinking about Bitcoin and digital assets is a very hard leap for people that are, let's look at most of our house Most of our representatives are 60s, which is on the lower side, 70s, 80s. This is a hard thing for them to grasp. So there's a lot of pushback. And then also a lot of the funding that they have for their political campaigns is from traditional systems, traditional institutions and banks, right? So it's important to see that not only is this more efficient and cheaper and more transparent, all the things that you would want within an innovation, but it's also not, people have to remember, this is not exclusive to the US. So much so, I actually did a tweet earlier. It was a retweet, in fact. There was that Caleb Franzen. It was a, let's actually go here. It was a retweet of Caleb. Caleb posted, because he's, you all know, we've had Caleb on the show a number of times. He's out there just kind of, he's working remotely, traveling around Europe and East Asia, West Asia, like Turkey and all these sorts of places. And it's this tweet right here. He says, pretty crazy. When I arrived in Istanbul at the beginning of June 2023, the exchange rate was 21 versus the US dollar. When I left Turkey at the end of July, so this is June to July, it was above 25. Today, it's above 27. That seems nominal, right? Well, let's look at what the data is. Really, that's a 30% devaluation in 3.5 months. So what I basically responded there is this: the U.S. is not the only. We all have to remember this. The U.S. is not the only beneficiary of Bitcoin's program deflation. Let me say that again. So it's important to know the U.S. is not the only beneficiary of Bitcoin's program deflation, aka the halvings, and the hedgeability against inflation of fiat. Reminder: there's literally the rest of the world out there that can and will be utilizing these more effective, more transparent, and less governed, aka manipulated currencies. It's the only option. Bitcoin may not be the prime option for you as a daily currency. It's a store of value, right? But that may be because of where you live. But for many, honestly, it's the only choice. Whether you're somewhere in the Congo or somewhere in Argentina or Bolivia or Brazil, or name the place out there that has as stable and as weird as it sounds, as stable as a currency as the US dollar, and ours is being devalued. We're looking at Bitcoin and digital assets. How do I expand my capital? The rest of the world is like, we need something that doesn't get so damn devalued every second that I breathe, which is what's happening in many places around the world. So Bitcoin is, I mean, it's the option. And then, of course, we have all these other assets out there that provide different utility around this ecosystem as well. So, I mean, I'm just tangenting today. I took too many vitamins this morning. Took this vitamin D and magnesium and turmeric, and there's this other one, this NMN, this neuroplasticity thing. Woo. There was where were we at? So CBDCs limited. The whole point with all that, timed all that back in, was the fact that how did that happen? How is it getting these bills on the floor and things are getting limited? It's because although it feels like nobody in government really cares, there are people in there. We got Tom Emmer. We got I don't even want to list out all the names. We got a handful of people within our government that are trying to make meaningful change in different aspects. And we're obviously crypto focused, so we need to pay attention to those things and celebrate them as they chip away at the old world and help build the foundation for meaningful structure to help empower and encourage innovation and keep it not only here, but keep it moving forward globally. And hopefully the U.S. really moves along on this, because the faster we move along on this, the more innovation will happen. I think there's a huge amount of innovation and advancements in the crypto ecosystem that has been stalled because of the U.S.'s inability to make meaningful regulation, which is needed. Meaningful regulation around this to give everybody the confidence to develop to build development into this ecosystem. Poor capital, VCs basically left after all the collapses in 2020, was it 2021, 2022, where we had, all the collapses, Celsius, Three Arrows Capital, BlockFi, I can't. There was a whole list of them. FTX, Luna. So there's a lot of people that got wiped out. We need to really support all the wins on the regulatory front and the limiting regulatory front in terms of CBDCs, so that this industry can flourish. So now let's jump in. If you guys are ready, do you have any questions, Joel? He's like everything.
Really, my question is about the whole PAL and like the CBDC thing. Like, is that related or not at all? Like, is the SEC like involved with the CBDC, or what was that? The central bank system of digital currency? Like what is happening? Because he paused something yesterday, and what is that? How does that affect me? Like,
see, that's a good question. So who the hell knows? No, so what it really does is, yesterday was a pause of the interest rate hikes that were coming in. So yesterday we had Jerome Powell, the Fed, the FOMC was a meeting on the 19th and the 20th. They do it almost every month, and throughout the summer there's a couple periods where they skip a month, and they look at all the economic data. And it's not just happening because of what happened with the global economic shutdown in March 2020. This is something that's been going on for decades, or all the way. It's been going on forever. But it's just in the highlight now because everybody's aware. They can see inflation because they go to the grocery store one week, like 2 years ago. You go to the grocery store 1 week and you go back 2 weeks later and you're like, how the hell is toilet paper 30% more expensive now? Or you go and you're like, maybe you don't go for a month because you're traveling and you come back and you get milk and milk's $8. You're like, did I age 42 years? How is this? And so essentially they have, they've been hiking interest rates over the last 2 or 3 years, trying to put downward pressure on capital flow within the space, because if there's less capital to go around, then it also helps prevent people from spending willy-nilly, which reduces the demand on products, which makes an excess of supply, and then excess of supply makes prices go down. So there's a lot more that goes into that, but that's kind of a very simplified version of it. Yesterday, Jerome Powell is the chairman of the Fed, and he came out and let everybody know they're not doing another interest rate hike right now. They may do one in the next 2 FOMC meetings. They may not. But then the CBDCs is entirely different, but somehow connected, and that's moving the world towards the digital cash system. But it's kind of silly to me because everything's already digital cash. I guess the only difference is the Fed would be cutting out a big portion of the middlemen, like Visa and basically all the payment processors, because instead of them basically being the payment rails for the digital cash that we all currently use, all our debit cards and credit cards, CBDCs would be a lot faster. But then the argument is, if the government puts out a CBDC, which is digital, then there's going to be a huge there's already a huge fear of what the surveillance state will do, because what happens if they don't like something you said on Twitter or on Facebook or on something like that, where if you say something, then they can just blacklist your wallet or limit what you can spend or track your spending. You know what I mean? So on the one hand, it'd be great for taxes because they know everything that you would be making. But on the other hand, let's be honest, we're supposed to live in a free democratic republic, and in the US at least. And of course, it's only representational. It's a little bit of a charade if you ask me. But with the CBDCs just rolling out without meaningful and thoughtful checks and balances, it could have a huge impact on culture. We could turn into China very quickly because everything you did and bought would be tracked.
So I have a question though. So how they like just print trillions of dollars?
Oh,
so
yeah.
If it was a CBDC, like say they actually had a currency out there that they just like made a number, what would change them? Like what would stop them from just being like, well, we're just going to add another zero. Drop a zero. Like, how's that going to like happen?
That's
because Bitcoin, they at least tell you this is the max amount of number. This is how many Bitcoin there are.
But that's one of the issues. I mean, it's hard. A lot of people think about this. Everybody think about this right now. We're going a little bit off the rails today. And any TA that we don't do in the stream, we'll all, we have the 3 p.m. stream that we'll be doing. But think about this. During the pandemic, all the news came out about UFOs, all these CIA, and everybody was just like, we're just walking about, and the news comes on. It's like, oh, we get aliens now, cool. Like it was not. If that came out in the 50s, it would have been like what? Because there was a lot of trust with government and news broadcasts. And then what was it, like a week ago? We had the Mexican Parliament came out and paraded out, these little little alien mummies that are supposedly like two or 3,000 years old.
Listen, if I saw that thing with skin, it's probably adorable. Did you see that little thing?
Of course. But
Cutie.
The point being is nobody really cares. So there's just like, I don't want to get in all conspiracy theory here, but there's been a huge divergence of culture into as many broken down subsects of people as possible over the last, really becoming noticeable in the early 2000s when you started having social media, and then also iPods. Everybody had their own iPod device, and then we had cable in the 90s, and then the early 2000s. Then in the early 2000s, instead of having 7 channels everybody watched, so everybody knew every show everybody else watched, now all of a sudden in the early 2000s, there's, you started getting, the Netflix, which was back in the day. There was DVDs, they'd send out DVDs, but then you had streaming services. Everybody's listening to different music that they're choosing and different shows and so many options. And that's not even talk about the different sort of news narratives between the different channels. And everything is so separated now. It's hard to have any group of people unite. And then you see all this stuff on the news with aliens. We're so off the rails today. But hey, you know what? We got to do that sometimes.
How do you do the thing?
Oh, what does that say? Crimson Caravan Company says alien sashimi. Yeah, I bet it'd be good. All right, we're gonna jump back in. We're gonna do the last 15 minutes.
Finish strong. But
TA. Yeah, you say finish drawing?
Finish strong.
Yeah. All right. Bitcoin. We're gonna look at Bitcoin last. I want to look at Cardano. Let's look at Sol first. We're gonna look at Sol, Cardano, and then XRP. And we want to look at these because we're seeing that, bucking the trend. There's everything else is having capital outflows primarily, and we're seeing money coming in. That does not mean price only go up. But we are seeing here, this is breaking bullishly out of this falling wedge here. We are on the 3-day chart. We are seeing also, we get a uptick right here where on the bottom where we can see the momentum wave. And then we have this doesn't come as low. We have a higher low here. The stochastics on the 3-day, we are looking at the 3-day chart. The stochastics are all the way down, reset, coming up. We are seeing a little bit of the RSI. This is interesting. I want to look at this really quick. Okay. So we have the RSI did kind of break out of this small trend that we had right here with this boom, boom. It's coming out, but it is angled down. So it doesn't mean it's just going to come down. It's maybe just like this. You see this little hesitation before it continues to the upside, but we are seeing money flow on the, not coming back past the 0 line yet. So zooming in here, we are above the weekly VWAP. We're pinched between the weekly VWAP and the trend signal line and the 20 moving average for that matter. This is trying to figure out what direction it wants to go. So let's get better resolution. Come down to the daily. So it came up. Where did it go to? Look at this, everybody. If you're having trouble to figure out what targets to look at, always look left. So if this is pushing up, where might this reject? Well, let's look left. There's a previous high, rejected right at this previous high. So this does not mean ultimately straight bearishness yet. It means, okay, it's ticking the boxes along the way. Here pushes up to the bottoms here. Now pull back, bounce, come up. Where? The next top side here and the bottom here. So now come down. If this finds support in this region, especially above 1917, if it doesn't break 1917, then anywhere here, if it bounces and starts pushing up, then the next level up will be somewhere in, let's see, it could very well be here, but that's going to be a little high. I would suggest, yeah. We also have this right here. So we have these lows here, and this bounces here as well. So these are the two levels I'd be looking to on the shorter term time frame over the course of like a week or two, maybe less than a week or two. I would say less than 2 weeks. I mean, within the next week, if this is going to continue moving up, we find support here, then I'm looking at a target of 2117 and then 2180. And then from this level, this starts to get contentious because this is getting really close to the bottom side of this range here. So this is kind of what I'm seeing on Solana. We do see the momentum wave is curved over like this, But at the same time, we have to pay attention. The stochastics are all the way up here, this orange line, and the RSI was up pretty high as well. Didn't quite get into the 70s. I'm looking at the percentages on the right here when I'm calling out the percentage points on the oscillators. But it does look like it needs to cool off a little bit, maybe one more candle before a continuation of the upside. Let's look at it a little bit more resolution. 1 hour, 4-hour candle. So we got the clip here, this triangle momentum moving back down. We can see that we have a little bit of a trend line here with the stochastics. We have the RSI is kind of, this is looking weak because the RSI, I don't know if you can see it. I'm going to make this a little bit brighter.
So would you short this or would you long it?
Would I short this or would I long? It depends on what my, that looks way better. It depends on what my intentions are. With this, I feel like I would be a little bit hesitant. I wouldn't short this because I wouldn't short this. I'm not really shorting things right now because I feel like we are in a sort of indeterminable market. And the reason is, some of you might be, the reason is because I'm not scalp trading. I'm not doing 15-minute to 4-hour trades, in which case you can buy and, you can long and short throughout the day. I'm setting up positions to be set for this next bull run. So in this case, this is looking like, excuse me, man, this coffee's making me burp today. In this case, this is looking like it's having trouble getting over this zone right here, which if you look at this is the last high volume area because we had a high volume candle with stopping volume right here. And interestingly, if you kind of project this across, option J, this is this, see these square lines? These are printed from the high volumes. Price action came up into this. This is looking like it might consolidate in this region. If we can hold above this line, this 1917 that I was talking about earlier, and then potentially round back out to the upside. But if we have a huge move, let's say a 5 to 8% move to the downside for Bitcoin, I think this would also be coming down, and I'd like it to hold above this descending previous resistance that has been flipped to support. I'd like it to hold above here. Otherwise, things would be a little bit more catastrophic. But in terms of the long-term plays, this is we had a bull market top, huge sell-off over a period of time. This is the FTX collapse, I believe, right here. Okay, that FTX collapse. Why do we care about that? Because it helps us understand why we're getting this huge sell-off here. A little bit of accumulation, kind of like a Wyckoff boom, spring to the bottom right here, push to the upside. Finding resistance on this upper level of resistance trend line here, broke through it, and now we're kind of riding here. So we very well could have a downward dip that brings us all the way down to this trend signal line right here that's on the weekly. That's all the way down at, what is that, 1328? And that would be ultimately a great opportunity because this would also be in line with where this previous low was right here. So 1318, 1330. If the price action does lose this level. But to me, because we're seeing, while everything else is seeing outflows, this is telling me that this would be ultimately a great opportunity because I do think Solana, as much as I want to feel like I'm not really a fan of Solana, I also feel like there's been such development and activity and community that's built around this that ultimately, if this does break down, I would be a buyer down here at 13. I would actually even be a buyer here at 1542 because that's where these weekly candles have closed before, 1539. But as it stands right now, this is looking relatively healthy, other than the fact that we have this pretty big wick. Joel, do you know what a wick is?
I don't.
All right, simple reminder for everybody. These are candles. And on these candles, you have the candle body, and then you have these wicks, these lines that, let me go right here. You have these lines that are sticking out of the candle. See, essentially those wicks, as they're known, some people call them shadows. Those are essentially how far the price has traveled during that candle. In this case, we're looking at a weekly chart, so each candle is a week. If we go to the daily chart, then each candle is a day. So this price action opened here at the bottom because it's a bullish candle. This meaning as this candle opened, this is where it opened. The price action went all the way up to the top side of this little green wick that you see. You see that little green wick?
Yeah.
So the price action went all the way up there, but then the bears brought it back down here, and at some point within that also formed this wick down here below. But this is where the candle opened. This is where the candle closed. Now on a bearish candle, meaning the price action went down during that time period, the candle opens at the top and moves down. And this is the close. So it opens at the top, closes at the bottom. And then the wick tells you how far the price action traveled during that time period. And in this case, the bulls ate that back up and brought it back here for the close. So little lesson for everybody there in case you forgot candles, or if anybody's been sitting there for 2 months watching going, I don't know what a candle is. Well, we got to break down the basics for people here. And again, Elliott Locke, when you get a minute, look at VET. I was reading some news on it earlier this week. Been a bit since we spoke. So hello, my brother. You're looking good. Hey, you're looking good. Actually, I can't see you, but your avatar is looking good. But hey, thank you for the super chat, Elliot. I'll look at VET here in a minute. I want to get through Cardano. And thank you for the super chat. I really do appreciate it. Helps us keep the lights on in this studio. So Cardano, we already looked at some of the metrics on DeFi Llama, but Cardano, we talked about this yesterday. This is starting to feel a little bit rounding, starting to feel kind of sexy for a potential move. We also, I didn't notice this before. Is this a bit of a falling wedge? So we have these. We have this wick here. So we have wick. It's kind of ugly. So I'm not really married to it. Let's actually move that. It's really ugly. There we go. Let's go candle bodies. What you want to do when you're doing trend lines, when you're trying to identify trend lines on a chart, your real main goal is to find a level of interest and price action that as many as possible touch points happen. And sometimes, for instance, you see right here, you have a deviation. Look at this. This is a deviation when the candle, it pushes way above where this trend line is, because really this trend line was formulated from this point and this point. And as it cuts through, yes, this price action broke it. It was that's why we call it a deviation. And we get that stopping volume that brought it back in. And look at that, rejection. So this is a valid trend line. So looking here, Cardano, remember, Cardano has an enormously strong community. So whether or not you like Cardano, shout out to all the lab coats there in chat. I appreciate each and every one of you. 124 people watching right now. Everybody hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and ding the bell. I do want to say that Cardano, whether or not you like it, they have been building steadily and methodically their ecosystem. So when I come out here to the weekly chart and I look at Cardano, and we have this massive swing, we have a higher low over here. This is on the weekly chart looking like it's trying to work its way. And as bearish as it may have felt, look at this. Price action did break out. This was early in the year, late end of last year when we had that breakout. And as bearish as this portion has felt, look at this. Where actually price action is held above the 50 EMA, this trend signal line right here. It is still red, but the price action is holding above it. So we are looking better than it feels like when you're zoomed in on a 2-hour chart. And in addition to that, this is formed bounce, rejection, classic falling wedge pattern here. These tend to break bullish, but doesn't mean they have to. But in this case, as it stands, this is starting to look like it's trying to set up for something because it is hugging the upper bound of this resistance line, this descending level of resistance. In addition to the fact that we have the stochastics on a weekly basis starting to get pretty low. It looks like they're, starting to get pretty low here. Let's see if there's any sort of trend line we can look at here. We're kind of breaking it currently. But, anytime stochastics, let's see what this relevance is of when these stochastics are this low. Let's see what happened in the chart. So look at this. So boom. This is the last time stochastics were this low, boom. Stochastics this low, boom. Stochastics this low, and it's important to see these. Not a huge boom, but we did get a move. I mean, this move is, that is, see how small that felt zoomed out? That's a 30% move. About a 30% move on this coming down. Now this again right here, this came down there. This was a 36% move. Okay, this came down right here. How big was this move? This was a 65, 70% move. We're getting down there again. And so price action levels below us, opportunity, because as it sits up, as the stochastics are suggesting, we're setting up to have the juice to make a strong move. And everything, I think, is kind of waiting. They're waiting on that other news to come out or the Coinbase thing to get dismissed or changed or settlement or all the things that are just riding on the just, there's just like a little bit of a chip on the shoulder of everybody in crypto, but everybody's also like, I know it's coming, so I'm just going to hold on. And we're seeing maturity come into the space. So if this does break to the upside, what I'd be looking for is this zone right here. This is 32 cents because we have the lows coming into this region as well as this rejection here. And as well as this all the way over here, we can see, boom, see, a lot of area of interest here. 32 is going to be a pretty interesting level to break. Once we break that, then we can talk about, stair stepping up 38 cents, 46 cents and above. I do think when Cardano starts moving, especially if it's from not a speculative, but a positive fundamental change, then I do think that this will move relatively quickly. Elliott Lock, we're going to have to look at VET on the 3 p.m. stream today, only because I just realized it's 11:31 and I got to go do TA on Discover Crypto. I love you all. I appreciate you all. I can't say how thankful I am for all of you as a community, and thankful I am for Alex Green, and thankful I am for Alexander G and Brad Guidell, all of you that help in the background, and then all the mods on here that keep it positive, keep it wonderful, and you're not just censoring people or modding people. It's like, when somebody does something, you all give everybody just a wonderful opportunity to reframe things into a positive way, and shout out to that. And Mr. Joel, Mr. Hodl Me Harder, thank you for being here first time.
Cheers, man. Sorry if I wasn't very good. It's Thirsty Thursday, boys. I hope you have a great, fantastic day. Also, Scott B asked a question. Kelly, please explain anchored volume profile. You can do that at 3 p.m. if you want to. AVP.
Yeah, we could talk about some anchored VWAP. With that being said, I will say, again, make sure you head over to bitlabacademy.com, which is on the website that never loads when I'm only on the stream. Bitlabacademy.com. Check it out. All the different course content. I'm not going to go through that because the internet's so slow when we're streaming. Click and roll now. You can use the Give Me 30 right here for 30% off your first month. If you want to learn how to price action, fundamentals, trading psychology, chart patterns, candle patterns, on-chain data analysis, indicators, everything. And with that, I bid you adieu, everybody. Adios. Adios, muchachos. Thank you for coming. Thank you for always tuning in. Adios, muchachos. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Hodl Me Harder, for being my friend. Hit that like button, sucker.